Alright everybody, we are in the playoffs. So the Sisters Call Cup, the SCC, is continuing here with the playoffs. A META Madness style tournament that is hosted in the Polish community. Now, the entire time, every single time I think about like SCC as like an abbreviation, I feel like there is some government institution or something that can apply to, but I can't put my finger on it. But I think I've heard that before, so yeah. Either way, we're currently in the playoffs, so we're in the first round of the winner bracket here. We have a best of 3 series on our hands between Team Vivq and Team Gumis. And we have lots and lots of pre-bans. So if you're not familiar with the Meta Madness concept, it's a tournament concept that I actually developed a long time ago, like nearly 10 years, I believe. And at some point, even League of Legends started copying it. Never even gave me credit, tear rolling down my eye on this one. But the main principle of it is that you have pre-banned heroes, and then on top of that, you also can only play every single hero once within this series. So the teams that you have in the tournament here are pretty much all exclusively Polish teams. There are a couple of exceptions, so there are a few players from other countries, but generally speaking, it is a tournament from the Polish community, for the Polish community, all hosted by Lucio over here. And you can see the bans down here. If you watch this on YouTube, I will also add the bans into the description of the video. And as usual, if you watch it on YouTube, hit that like button. It really helps promote the videos a little bit more, get more people back into the game. And of course, also hit the sub button if you haven't done that yet. Very much appreciated. So thanks for that, as we're going into game number 1. And yeah, I'm here for it. The last few tournaments that we had were pretty much standard drafts, typical normal style, and today will be a bit different, but we are still starting game number 1 off with the Rhaegar first pick, and then we get Varian on the other side together with Sonya. So a nice little taunt straight up into a Sonya leap. That's what we really need here. Then again, we are now currently in a situation where we play Infernal Shrines. Is Sonya really gonna go for a leap follow-up? It's a bit questionable, I suppose. Depends a bit on if they're adding a third frontliner. I would more so think that what we're getting here is very likely Wrath of the Berserker trying to get a bit of additional sustain on the Shrines themselves. But over on the right side, we now get Leo and Arthur, so you already have a little bit of just zone control from them and the AoE control here. So that should definitely help. And then Leo obviously also a great side laner. But you can already see that things are deviating a little bit away from the usual standard with Arthur's being added this early. Now we've seen him a bit more often now, also in the Captain's Clash, the previous tournament. But definitely not a map 1 hero that you would normally see here. The Cho'Gall ban makes me a little bit sad, but that's just the thing. In so many of these tournament styles, we're seeing Cho'Gall regularly being removed here, and this one is no exception right now. So that's unfortunately what it is. Tychus, no transformation here, so Tychus gets banned out. And what exactly is the blue team now going to add? I'm kind of excited for this. I'm really excited for the playoffs. I want to see how this is going to work out for them. First we get Orphea and we get Ana, so you have their nano boost in now as well for Orphea. It's kind of funny to me, honestly, how Disciple in particular has been able to bring just Orphea back into the meta in general. We're seeing a lot of that lately. Now for the red team, we still need a couple of damage dealers. They obviously don't have enough here yet. We have with Arthur's at least a tool that can also dish out some DPS, but you need your range damage, and you normally want to have a mage too that brings some extra AoE to the shrines. And there it is, Kael'thas. Kael'thas and False that are being added. So now we have quite a few CC tools with Kael'thas also chipping in his gravity lapse, and lots of AoE on the shrine fight. So the global utility of Falstad, and it's basically the poor man's buried alive to be able to drop an Entomb and then Falstad with a Mighty Gust. That leaves us with our final pick for game number 1. So let's see what we're going to get here for Team Vivq. Infernal Shrines again, our first map in the best of 3 series. And pick... the final pick. We get Kerrigan. Even more CC. Alright guys, let's go. First map between Team Vivq and Team Gumis. The blue team over on the left side of our first map with Vivq, the captain himself, on Sonya. We get Machko on Varian, Hajdunio on Orphea, Ziomek is playing Kerrigan, and then we got Endless on Ana. Over on the right side, the red team, Team Gumis, with the captain playing the mage. We have him on Kael'thas here with Mana Addict as the level 1 talent. Rutek on Rhaegar. Austri kill on Leoric. We got Danozovsky on Arthur's going into Rhyme on level 1. And then in addition to that, we're getting Lopaka on Falstad for all of that global prowess that he's going to give us here. Should be a really aggressive game, especially from the blue team, considering what they're running here. I mean, at the end of the day, they are trying to just lock targets into a CC chain that they can then use to chip in the damage with Sonya, Kerrigan, and Orphea. But we got sleeps from Ana. I mean, honestly, this is just an absolute nightmare to go up against. If the red team can stay alive, then they have a pretty decent chance here. But at the end of the day, when you think about it, you have your sleep darts, you have your stuns, you have the taunt from Varian. There's so much going on here that it's going to be tough for the red team to really survive. But obviously, if you have something like this happen, then that's a different story. It's a full-on gank at the top lane against Sonya, and she's the first one to fall here. So Sonya goes down pretty quickly, gets eliminated super fast, and that is first blood in game number 1 of the series. Now, there is a loser's bracket as well, so if you're not making it in the winner's bracket, you at least have another shot then later on in the series. But for the time being, of course, both of the teams are heavily interested to move on to the grand final through the winner's bracket and not completely lose here. So right now, we're still having the next attack coming. Obviously, Varian so far still without his level 4, so he doesn't have taunt yet. We're talking about talents. Ana went into contact healing as her level 1. Down at the bottom of the map, we're now getting also the first few camps being claimed. I mean, keep in mind that this is obviously all before the patch. There is a PTR patch that we will soon get, and then there's going to be lots of changes. The mercenary camp timings are going to be very different. Structures have been heavily adjusted, and it will be interesting to see what kind of impact it has on the general gameplay, especially on the competitive level. But for now, we are still in the normal, in the older patch. And Kalthas is the first victim of Team Vivq. So the blue team able to get the kill, and now we have Taunt. So this is where things get really, really interesting right now. With Taunt being available, they will look for kills. Arthur's continuing things with Frozen Wastes on level 4. And we now have also Netherwind from Kalthas. This is obviously one of the big tools that could be used technically whenever the blue team makes their approach. The team Gumis is just moving in and just tries to hit a good gravity lapse and then shuts things down quickly. But here comes the first attack. They try to go for Danazovsky. Arthur's a little bit low. Is he going to be able to survive it? And the answer is no. Quick kill right there. And that is the second one for the team in blue. Yeah, so far so good. So I gotta say, Team Vivq, they do what they are supposed to. They take the extra kills. Obviously, not enough yet. They will continue throughout the fight at the top. The biggest question is just simply, can they pull that off, yes or no? And it is a little bit of a question mark, because this fight could go, I mean, technically either way at this point. So we'll have to see how this is going to play out for them. But yeah, right now it is instead Kerrigan that dies. So Kerrigan is gone. Now it's 2 kills to 2. Blue team has taken a bit of a lead on the point here, but it's not going to be enough to win the entire thing all that easily. So they definitely need a little bit more than that. And we'll see if they can, because first of all they have to wait for Kerrigan to come back. Orphea is sitting down at the bottom of the map. Without her, they won't be able to have a serious shot here. We got 20 stacks now to 10. And down at the bot lane, Hajdunio goes down to Falstad. Easy solo kill for the birdie. Nicely done. And this should more or less seal the fate of Punisher number 1. A little bit of a surprising one, honestly. Obviously, the global is a really nice macro presence that the red team is able to field here. But I expected this to go much more heavily towards the blue team. At least on the first objective. But none of that happening just yet. So blue team still needs their kills to get into a good spot here. And the question, the big one later on will be, can they pull that off, yes or no? Punisher with a bait over the wall. That's obviously one of the interesting map changes that will come with the next patch, unless Blizzard decides to let it go. Currently that's on the test realm. But the Punisher won't jump over the wall anymore. So it's going to be an interesting one. Should therefore be a stronger objective. Normally, when you don't bait the Punisher over, it means that you're losing more structures. At least that wall is easily destroyed. So, yeah, the changes, they will have pretty big impact. Now, we got 3 kills to 2. We have also, at this point, on level 7, the Mind Devourer. for Ophir, and it is actually the red team that is starting to take a more aggressive stance on the map and is moving in here. We got Arthas with another Howling Blast, but Kerrigan, they're jumping in on Kalthas in the backline, and they're able to get the kill. Team VVQ now with a third kill for them as well. Without Leoric here, there was just not really a whole lot that Team Gumis could do. They were outnumbered in the fight. And now the chance to take a few more of the camps. And we'll see how much the blue team can outdo to try and get to an early level 10 and maybe propel this forward a bit further. That also will answer the question regarding the heroic abilities that we had at the beginning of the game. Especially looking towards Sonya, obviously. She could go either way with this. We have... Yeah, I mean, again, Wrath of the Berserker for the Shrine fights is always very, very nice, but then at the same time, you could add the additional CC with a quick leap, so if you really try to blow a target to pieces, then leap wouldn't be too bad. And she could jump out of the entomb, which she immediately does. Oh, whoa! Jumps out, is alive, and that answered our question very quickly. We got the Eternal Feast for Ophir. Talking about Ophir, they're trying to get a kill in the middle of the map. They take Arthas down. Rega gets stunned, and Ancestrals himself. And they can't get the follow-up here, but that's also another big cooldown that they already used. Now, all the way up at the top, we have also the fort. Very, very low here, so nearly destroyed. The attacks continue as they are going for a bit of a side lane trap, but the red team is playing this very, very slow now. So a bit more of a passive performance by them for now. We got 4 kills to 3 at this point. Zarmak at the top, still holding this one solo. But it is the blue team that is now back in the driver's seat and start to make the moves here. Which is honestly pretty important when you're thinking about it. They want the team that dominates those team fights and that controls the map because they are just so dangerous as a 4 or 5 man when they're looking for kills. But the question will always be, can they properly pull this off, yes or no? And so far things are looking pretty decent. But it's a fairly even game. The second objective will already tell us a lot on how this is going to progress. For now we got 4 kills to 3. Yeah, Shrine is about to activate, another 15 seconds, and the teams are starting to go for their own shaman camps. It's all about the top lane pressure, of course, with that. So let's see how much they can do here. And for now, we have Falstad still accumulating a bit of extra XP for the team. They would also love to just get the quest completed for Arthas on level 4. The one quest, by the way, that is not nearly completed, which is pretty impactful, is Mana Addict. He doesn't have the survivability, so for Gumis that's a problem. But he's not the only one that is on the endangered species list. Arthas at the front line gets instantly locked down again and killed. So that's not a great start into the second objective for the red team. Blue team just way more successful in that little encounter and able to get the kill. So we got 5 kills to 2 now. And yeah, Falstad sitting down at the bottom of the map, still hoping to at least push some structures, but the objective, they can kiss that one goodbye. They won't be able to do anything with that. What we're seeing instead is Leo defending at the top. Frozen Punisher is now going to move through the middle of the map. The gate is already open. That makes this also very dangerous. You can't just simply bait it over the wall. If you get too close and then you get stunned out, there might be a follow-up. There should be a follow-up. There's the taunt, there's Leap, and the gust from Falstad to save the day. But Danazovsky is still not out of the woods yet. Goes for Syndragosa. The Ancestral is just a second too late. And that is disastrous. Frozen Punisher able to lock down the fort, and they're going to lose this one. They lost Arthas too, so yeah, this is where it starts to get really rough for the red team. Game number 1 of the best of 3 series. After some initial problems, the blue team is now starting to get a lot stronger. We got 16,000 damage for Fear. They rotated down towards the bottom of the map to go for the next fort. So really just exploiting the advantage that they have. The opponent doesn't have a main tank, so they're taking more structures out, take more lane control, and so far that's working. And you can see on the stats already that Arthas in particular is struggling here. I mean, he has died 4 times, so it's a problem for him. If they can keep him in the fight and really just go for it, then that's nice. He can be that massive tank that slows down the opponent, but since the fight is oftentimes centered around him being blown up, the team is having some serious troubles. And Mana Addict, again, he is still not in a position where he completed his quest talent. That's a huge problem. Mana Addict is absolutely crucial. You want to have that shield. It's a huge tool that you can use in team fights to stay alive. So Kael'thas is now to be way more passive than he really wants to be, and this is a huge problem for him. So that's 5 more that he needs, 4 more at this point, but he needs to be a bit more cautious, and that in and of itself is already putting him in an awkward spot. Carrigan misses the combo though, not able to connect that. Half a level until 16 drops for Team EVQ. And for them, what they need to do now is, of course, to run with the advantage. You are ahead and you need to exploit that as best as you can. Which immediately, of course, means that you now have to try and get to 16, push for some forts, try and get the next objective, maintain the lead in experience as well. So if they're doing all of that, then great. But they got to be very, very careful on how they play this one out. But at least so far, things are working quite well. But you can tell that Team Gumis is playing this very slow. They're not being aggressive. They're just saying, guys, we are only half a level behind. We can bridge that gap and then can go back into the third objective and try to fight for that. But since there is a talent advantage, that of course will be played around. Giant Slammer is in. We got the banner of Dalaran, painful spikes, and also the active reload now for Ana. Falstad playing this very safe. Falstad just sitting at the bottom of the map out of vision, and it's like, boys, we need some help here. But it seems like they're going to trade. It's not going to be the best trade for Team Gumis though. The problem that they have is that this fort was already super low, whereas the one at the bottom of the map had barely lost any hit points. So that is a bit of an issue. A bit of a problem for them here right now. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But for the time being, we're now looking at level 16 for both sides. That gives us also Remorseless Winter right here. And we get Ignite for Kael'thas, who is now done with this quest. So that one was definitely needed. The next fight is going to be a lot better for him. Shouldn't really have too many issues on that. But yeah, it was definitely necessary to get him to a completed quest, so that he has the shield available in the first place. It's not really a massive one because he needs more globes for that, but hey, better than nothing. And if he becomes the target, this is going to help him to stay alive a little bit longer. So right now we have the next attack around the shrine. But let's see, already the ult out from Orphea. So, 21 stacks now for Kael'thas. They're trying to go for Arthas again. Everybody is centered around the top lane right now. Yeah, still big lead for the blue team. They are already massively ahead on that. Blue team has a huge lead on the Shrine minions. And that forces Team Gumis to simply fall back here. So Team Gumis is just looking at this and saying like, alright boys, we're not going to be able to do too much here, so they're just falling back for now and will try to defend the top side fort. They lost 2 of their forts already, and keep in mind that top side fight was a bit of an advantage for them too, because they still had a fountain, the opponent didn't. Now Leo is gone, Gust had to be used, the Ancestral has been used as well, so this is starting to get real dicey for the red team. They're losing more and more ground on this one. The fort will fall. I don't think there's any way that they can actually still maintain this one, and this means more passive experience, and considering that the Arcane Punisher is still at more than 50% of its HP, we're likely also gonna see the wall at the top keep fall, and that's obviously another problem for them right there. If you are starting to lose that now too, then yeah, this is gonna be a great chance for Team EVQ to later on move towards the top lane and try and take that keep out when they win another team fight. Obviously, it also means that the lead in experience has been extended a bit further. So now we're looking at, yeah, 7 kills to 3. 1 level lead, more or less. And since they still have the better position, they're going for additional camps too. So they're very quickly grabbing the Khazra camp in the middle. We're having, on top of that, the next one taken at the bottom of the map. And this is one of the reasons why we're seeing that experience just, I don't want to say skyrockets, or this, yeah, exaggerating things a little bit, but why they have the superior numbers here. You look at the minion experience, and that's where Falstad as a global can of course get a lot for Team Gumis and really help them to stay close. But everywhere else, hero experience, mercenary experience, passive experience, structures, that's where the blue team is leading, and that's where they've been able to take that big advantage. Now they're even trying to bait them a bit. They're just dangling Hashdunio at the bottom of the map in their face and like just dare them to go for a cheeky rotation. But the red team isn't falling for it. They're playing this slow as they should. And the bigger question, of course, with all of it is, for now at least, yeah, what else can they do here? I mean, how well is this going to work out once level 20 kicks in? Because you still have to somehow bridge that over. And that is going to be the tricky one. Bridging to level 20 if the objective is already up. Now that's the next question. Is the objective up in time, yes or no? For now, still a little bit tricky to tell, honestly. But as is, they're pushing through the middle. They want the kill on Arthur's. Ancestral, and here comes the chomp and the kill. Absolute destruction in that situation. So yeah, huge problem for them right now. And this is the keep gone. Orphea at least falls, but they get the counter kill, and that's an important one. There's a huge counter kill that they were just able to grab against Kel'Thas. Then Leo goes down, but they are dropping Sonya, so the defense is actually not too bad. It's a 2-for-3 trade, so it's still a positive for the blue team, and they're pushing for that keep. But at least Team Gumis is doing what they can, and the advantage with level 20 has now been negated as we have the red team lock in their own storm talents. With Flamethrower now in, we have also the anti-magic shell, but look at the aggression that we're seeing. With only Falstad and Rhaegar being alive, the keep will go down. This keep is toast. So the keep gets destroyed, that one's gone, and that's the first one to fall. And the only thing that the red team has been able to eliminate throughout the game was the fort at the top lane, and that was a trade. So it's going to be tough. We're now 17 minutes roughly into the game, so there's going to be quite a bit of pushing with catapults that happens once that we are entering, like, let's say the 20-minute mark. But at least it's an eye-level performance now between the two teams when it comes to talent. So Team Gumis, they have a chance to, through a team fight victory, really bring this back. A couple of the things that still worry me is also really the lack of stacks for Kel'Thas. I talked about this earlier, is at least sitting at 27 right now, but that's still not crazy. Now we have the Shrine coming up, and that's obviously a Punisher that would travel straight towards the core for the red team, for the blue team, which would force Team Gumis to try and bait him towards either the top or the bottom. But first, it's all about that fight. Syndragosa and the Ult of Leoric both being used here. Ancestral also utilized. They're trying to turn this again on Arthur's. Kerrigan with the Chrysalis. Gets also the Ultralisk out. What about Kel'Thas? He's in trouble and he's dead. No chance. Gets absolutely murdered here. Kel'Thas is gone. Didn't stand a prayer in that situation. And this will allow Team BBQ to grab another Punisher. So they have actually won every single Punisher with the exception of the first one. We have 48,000 damage for Orphea. Same damage numbers that we're getting from Kel'Thas. But the blue team is in much better shape now. And the big question is now, can the red team defend to fight again later on, or is this where it ends already? It's all about how the Punisher is now going to be utilized and how confident Team BBQ is. The defense earlier was quite powerful from the red team, but they are just pinned down time and time again. And this is now something that we've seen multiple times. 11 kills to 5. Here comes the Gust again, and Tomb is out too. Lots of ults used. Hajduño goes down though. That's the range damage gone, and that's a huge setback. They got a kill with it. 2 heroes down, but still that hurt them, and it hurt them a lot. The Punisher is jumping in. The core is losing its hit points. They seem to be trying to take this one out. The catapult still griefing a little bit, but slowly making their way forward to start firing against the core as well. 40%, 30, we're going down to 20, and that's a victory in game number 1. Team BBQ with a 1-0 lead in this best of 3 series. GG. We're going to head straight into game number 2, but before we do, once again guys, if you enjoy the coverage on the channel here, if you enjoy the match, please like and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. It also helps to boost the game to an even wider audience. And of course, it helps to get people back into Heroes of the Storm, as the algorithm recommends the videos to people that were interested in Heroes of the Storm in the past. So again, before we continue, if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to the channel and like the video. Appreciate it. And with that, we're heading straight into the second map of the series. Map number 2. Here we are. So, Team BBQ in the lead in the best of 3 series in our winner bracket match here at the playoffs. We got Team Gumis with initially an honest, decent spot where they won the first Punisher on Infernal Shrines, but then afterwards started to fall behind here. Now, a quick reminder that there are lots and lots of bans, so you can check all of those out. And, yeah, have a look there. Actually, I think that there's also a little bit of... I think there's even too many. Need to see if I can maybe shortcut some, but yeah, there's a couple of things where it's not really working, so maybe now it works. The list is just too long. This is all that I'm trying to say. So it wasn't quite the full list right there because it got cut off. Again, as I said, if you watch this on YouTube, you can also check it out in the comment section or in the description. That's where I'm going to put everything in. But we'll see what's happening now after we already have 10 more heroes eliminated. Because there will still be a lot of meta heroes in the mix, but generally speaking, this is now one of those moments where you're being pushed a bit more out of your comfort zone, and this could have an impact on some of the players at least. There are, of course, certain ones where you know roughly what the comfort heroes are, you can ban them out and see how they adjust to that. But game number 1 was a very solid performance from the blue team. I'm trying to follow this up here with Junkrat, Muradin, and Oriel as their first few picks. And on the other side, we still get Garrosh and Malfurion. I like also that, well, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, right? On the one hand, I think it's a smart choice to ban Nazeebo out. Do I really like that he's banned? No, because seeing Nazeebo here would have been quite a bit of fun. There's a good chance that you complete your level 20 quest if you go for Nazeebo, and you can play with the Violent Faction on the map like Volskaya Foundry, so there's that. But we get the ban on Cassia. A lot of damage dealers are getting banned here. I mean, nearly exclusively. Alarak also eliminated, so he's gone. That leaves us on the red side with the next double pick. They went for map choice, by the way. So they did not decide in favor of first pick after they lost map number 1. They prioritized picking the map. They really wanted to go to Volskaya. So now we're gonna get a little bit more action here with Yrel and Tychus. Okay, Tychus was actually banned on Infernal Shrines, if I'm not mistaken. So now we're getting him together with Yrel here. Can still, of course, center all the aggression around the objective if they really force that. We've seen lots of Volskaya games where the objective pretty much gets completely ignored. So we'll see how the teams are approaching it here. But for the blue team, as they're rounding out the draft, we still need a side laner, someone to deal with Yrel. Currently, we don't have that. Zagara comes in, and we get ETC. So ETC will likely be the side laner and going for stage dive, whereas Zagara has, of course, a lot of push power too and can fulfill that role to an extent, but you still need somebody at the front. This like one tank, one melee hero meta that existed at the beginning of Heroes of the Storm has been going for a long, long time. And here comes Kel'Thuzad. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting some action in this. Volskaya Foundry, map number 2 between Team Gumis and Team Vivecue. Team Vivecue in the lead in the best of 3. With one more win, they would move on to the winner bracket semifinal. We have the blue team now with Vivecue himself on ETC. He's going for the Guitar Hero on level 1. Machko is playing Muradin. We got Hashdunyo on Junkrat, Ziomek on Zagara, and Endless is playing Oriel. So, over on the right side, Team Gumis with the captain playing Tychus. We got Grenade builds, starting up with Quarterback on level 1. Austri is playing Yrel. We got Rutek on Malfurion, Danazovsky on Garrosh, and then Lopaka, he's playing Kel'Thuzad. This is where things will get interesting. Kel'Thuzad is obviously always a little bit hit or miss, and he's really suffering in the normal meta from the fact that we have so many heroes that have high mobility and can simply jump on him and apply pressure. But if you are playing in a context of multiple heroes being pre-banned, as we have in META Madness style tournaments, and then also the restriction that the heroes can be only played once, you're getting rid of those natural counters very quickly, and this is going to help you then to get Kel'Thuzad into a good spot. Now, are they going to be able to pull that one off here? That's the question. With ETC likely going for stage dive later on, that could become a problem. And honestly, Lopaka is already in trouble. Gets instantly taken down here. And that was a pretty nice play. So the blue team is opening the game up with a kill. They get first blood. And yeah, that was nicely done. Malfurion also eliminated. So Malfurion is gone. So that means we have 2 kills to 0 and a bit of early game dominance and pressure from Team Vivecue. So they should be feeling pretty comfortable at this point. It's about as good as it gets. You get 2 early game kills, a little bit of a leading experience. You can also therefore take the support camp, which normally is either not taken at all, or the teams have to really commit to a proper fight in order to grab it. Here, that's not quite what we're getting. We have still items on the side of the red team as they went for their turret, but the blue team has actually forgone their turret position for now. So we're not seeing that yet. The level 4 talents kicking in a bit earlier. We get the envenomed spines now. We also have repeated offense. That's our next one. So 1v1 set up at the bottom of the map as they're starting their attacks up here. And, well, there's another item coming for the blue team too. So again, it's a small advantage. I'm not trying to say that they're like massively ahead or anything of the sorts. But obviously it's also a bit of a confidence situation. If you already start with a 2-0 lead on the kill count, then you definitely feel good. But here comes the counterplay attempt. Muradin gets attacked. Auriel arrives in time and is able to push them back. Nice. So they are saving Muradin. The dwarf is saved. Budget Gimli is still in play. And down at the bottom of the map, we still have our 1v1. Objective is up in 20 seconds. As usual, the main question with the objective is just simply, is anybody really going to go for it? Or are they just going to sit there and like, nah, you know what, Protector, we are not really interested. Thank you very much. Not really the map that we're looking for. But by now, we now have Thunderburn, for example, in. We got the loudspeakers for ETC as well. Point is about to be unlocked here, and Danazovsky and his boys are slowly starting to go for it. On level 1, Phylactery of Kel'Thuzad, so we're getting the quest here. And we also have the quest on level 1 slowly progressing. One single stack though. With 3 minutes in the game, Kel'Thuzad has gotten a single stack for his baseline quest. This should actually start to accelerate a bit once that we are going for an actual objective fight. That's when you have way more opportunities to take an objective. But so far, not really too much going on there. Definitely one of the things that you want to focus on as much as you can, because having that extra 75% spell power is pretty ridiculous. It's a huge advantage once that you get it. So they need to put some emphasis on that. For Tigers, we get the Relentless Soldier. Working around the stuns here, and we also have the Accelerated Decay now on the side of Kel'Thuzad. But as this plays out, it is actually the blue team that is not going to give this objective up without pushing the red team to a fight at least. So, next attack, quest completed on level 4 for Kel'Thuzad. Good for him. Level 7 talents being available. It also gives us Echo Paddle, which is pretty typical for an ETC build when you want to go and play the side laner with Stage Dive. But Garrosh goes down, and that is the 3rd kill now for Team Vivq. One of the advantages when you're playing Auriel is of course also that you are completely independent from mana, which is huge. If you're talking about extended fights, that ability to just simply sit in the battle is big. Now, for Fright over the checkpoint, that is quite nice. Let's see how much you can keep this up. For now, it's just all about items and trying to maintain that advantage. Kind of noteworthy in the last fight, for example, heroes like Zagara weren't even able to use any of that. We had the healing beacon earlier, but the traditional turrets haven't been used yet by the blue team. The red team, on the other hand, they use theirs, so they're now even a bit farther behind. Experience gain is not really too crazy, but we now have also 69% against 13, so it's not like the objective is fully dealt with yet. That's definitely not the case. Still a chance for Team Gummis to bring this back, but the differences in experience will soon lead to heroic abilities on the side of the blue team, and the window might be small, but it's still big enough to put a serious dent into the defense of the red team if they can exploit that and force them into a fight. So it's one of the reasons why Team Vivq actually played this a little bit slower and didn't fully commit to anything here just yet. But yeah, the attacks are still coming on Muradin now. Root on the ground. Nice little whip that we're getting over here from Auriel. And the blue team is taking over again. Both now with heroics. But it might just be enough, maybe not, for Team Vivq to get the objective right away. But we get Odin now. Kel'Thuzad has not made a choice yet. Goes straight into the Frost Blast and has 9 stacks on level 1 now. This is a bit of a side note. Riptire, they're trying to zone them out once again. Garrosh willing to eat that damage. Here comes ETC, gets flipped and pushed into a corner, but that's still a problem. Lots of, oh, the double maw. Lots of heroes in the choke point, and the double maw from Zagara creates the opportunity to take a few of them out. Malfurion is dead, Yrel is gone, and the Protector is taken. They get the Protector, they get 2 kills with it. 5 kills to 0 now, and not a single kill on the side of the red team. And they, of course, they need to win this if they don't want to drop down into the losers bracket. So them not being able to take that right away is definitely hurting them. Also, Kel'Thuzad still not done with this quest, sitting at 14. It's going to take him a while. It's really going to take him a moment or two until he is in a spot where he can fully capitalize on his damage. Yeah, you need that extra spell power. You really, really do. So the Protector, as usual, not being able to do too much, but they were breaking through the wall at least. They decided on pushing for the bot lane, as you can see here. Muradin, and there it is, finally! He gets murdered by the minigun of Tychus, and they're finally able to get a kill here. It really took a while for them to get the first kill in game number 2. And now we have 5 kills to 1, half a level to 13. But that was definitely nicely done. So at least they're starting to get a bit of a foothold in the game, you could argue. And they're trying to also exploit that advantage by centering their aggression around the camp. Clearly attempting to take this one next and steal some of the items away. The problem is that Muradin is already back to business. Yeah, and might just be able to get back into the fight and force the red team back, which they has obviously already happened. So yeah, they jump back for a second, I believe, thinking of trying to take the camp. Decided against it. Garrosh with a bit of a throw. There's the invade though. With level 13 talents, Team BBQ is getting aggressive. They're realizing they have the edge, and they're just moving in and saying, you know what, boys? We can actually pull this one off. So let's make a move here, and let's take it. And right now, it's not too bad. They steal the camp. They have the item. That puts them into, I mean, they have 3. Do they have more? 3 turrets. That is a lot. That's a fair amount of turrets that they are already using here, and that they can then quickly utilize in the next big fight to win the battle. Could potentially be won over the objective, of course. So, yeah, there's a chance that that's happening. But right now, yeah, it's more in the middle of the map where we're getting, again, a bit more action. I mean, the lead experience, it's there, it's small, it's nothing crazy, but it's just a continuous theme that the blue team hits their talent a little bit earlier and then can use that as an advantage, and that has now happened multiple times. So they get maybe a 10-second, 30-second lead, but that already allows them to do just so much here. ETC is continuously sitting at the side lane with him using stage dive, jumps into the fight, here's the stage dive, then the slide on 3, the Riptire! And they're losing to Malfurion. The healer is gone. So is Garrosh. So some really, really quick kills. They weren't able to go for the triple kill here, but just getting the double kill already helped. The triple more just glorious in that choke point position for them. So very, very nicely done. And now the aggression just continues with them pushing towards the middle. Nobody's dealing with the second objective for now. It's just all going straight for the structures themselves. At the bottom of the map, for example, you have ETC retaking his spot and trying to push for the second fort. And now the entire team is rotating in, which means that Yrel might even die. They're starting to flank with Zagara, but okay, he is able to get out. Yeah, flank of Zagara was coming, and they were able to do a lot, but are they able to go for the third one at the top too? Because technically they are about to hit level 16 again, so the theme just continues. We've seen this a couple of times, I talked about it. They get the early advantage on talents, and then they can use it either for an objective or a mercenary camp, which is simply a team fight that they force. And so they're going to attempt to follow the exact same MO here, and that's exactly what we're going to get. Now, what can they actually do with this? If they take another fort out, then the passive experience increase is definitely going to be worth it for them. Also makes it much harder for the opponent to establish any kind of position in the middle of the map. And if you have item control, that helps you from fight to fight too. Now, they try to go for ETC. There's no heal available here. ETC could still technically jump out, so that was always an option. They didn't have to use it, but that was definitely something they could have done if they really needed to, so sacrificing the cooldown on his ult. Kel'Thuzad is still not done with his baseline. He's sitting at 23. They're trying to force the fight though. And he's getting a few more connects now. So Kel'Thuzad is nearly done with his quest. It might be late, but better late than never. Here comes the next attack. Garrosh is gone, and that was a huge threat to the blue team throughout the game. So him being eliminated, that definitely is trouble for the red team. They're also losing Tychus, and it's starting to really snowball a bit. The elite experience is being extended. They're trying to go for the squishies, meaning Lopaka is the next one who has to suffer. Kel'Thuzad is gone. Junkrat wants to jump out. Yrel tried to go for the kill, couldn't get it. So now she's gone too, which only leaves Malfurion. Scratch that. It's a 5-man team. Wipe. The entire team gets murdered. We have 12 kills to 1 now overall. 35,000 damage for Junkrat, 21,000 on the other side for Kel'Thuzad. But Zagara is also looking great here, and now after they take the keep out, they're even going core. There's no talent advantage here, so going for core might be asking for a little bit too much. It could work out for them. They have a 2-level advantage, no talent lead though, so they gotta be very careful. But we don't have Yrel back yet, and Garrosh goes down again. The core is losing hit points, the shield long gone. And this might just be the 2-0 for Team VVQ. Team Gumis drops down into the losers bracket of the playoffs. Job well done by the blue team as they lock in the victory on Volskaya Foundry. GG.